I've honestly debated making this a primarily Star Trek channel because every time we do an update video, whether we're talking about the next movie or talking about television shows or origin stories, the community comes out. Like, you guys are very, very passionate about your Trek. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos, and today we're back. Today we're going to talk about the Star Trek origin story film that, of course, is separate from the Kelvin timeline movies, but we're going to talk about how this could actually be laying the foundation for, yes, a third reboot of our beloved Star Trek franchise. I know. Drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, and yes, I read every single comment on every single video, especially. Now, the first thing to note is that Paramount did officially announce an untitled Trek film that was slated for release in 2025, yet we're here and we're not getting that. I mean, Collider reports that the project is being described as a prequel or origin story, and it's being directed by Toby Haynes, who is also known for directing episodes of Andor. Now, there is a script that is being written or already written by Seth Grahame-Smith. The announcement came during Paramount's presentation at CinemaCon, and while details are scarce, the film was set to explore the Star Trek timeline decades before the 2009 Abrams reboot, the Kelvin timeline. Now, because of this time jump, it's very unlikely that the Kelvin crew will appear or even exist. We don't even know if it's in the same universe. In fact, Collider noted that the efforts to reunite Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana and the rest of the 2009 cast for a fourth Kelvin timeline movie, they've been difficult. We've covered it on this channel. We've talked about it, and we've talked about the time travel thought. Anyway, that's a video for another day. I mean, that's a separate script as well, and supposedly in development, but has all kinds of issues. So what does this mean? Are we about to get a big screen story set in the prime Star Trek timeline? Maybe we're going to focus on events well before Kirk's missions? The working title is simply Star Trek Origin Story right now, but that may change. That is going to change. Think of it as a blank slate to explore what came before the Federation we know and love, and it is the perfect opportunity to set up a new trilogy. Now, according to Collider, the early Trek universe between the founding of the United Federation of Planets, which was around 2161, and the launch of the Enterprise under Christopher Pike in the 23rd century remains unexplored. The prequel shows Star Trek Enterprise chronicle the events leading up to the Federation's founding, while Strange New Worlds depicts Captain Pike's adventures just a few years before Kirk. That leaves almost a century? Yeah, leaves almost a century of history waiting to be told, and stories. And during this period, lore suggests that the Federation fights a war against the Romulan Star Empire, and they engage in a cold war with the Klingons. We also know that the first Starship Enterprise under Captain Robert April and later Captain Pike operate during this era. Now, these major events, they haven't been depicted at all on film. If Haynes and Grahame-Smith want to tell an origin story, they could explore the Earth-Romulan War, the early days of Starfleet, or even the clandestine founding of Section 31. Yeah, they could do that. Now, I do remember reading in the comments of the last one that you guys don't want an Earth-based origin story on how we got warp capabilities. You don't want to hear that again. You know how it happened, and you think that would be really boring. Okay, I get it. I do. But would it be really boring if we explored the Earth-Romulan War in the early days? Absolutely not. This could be really cool. People are speculating that the film could sit around the construction of the first Warp 7 starships, or even depict Robert April handing command to Christopher Pike. Other people say it may feature younger versions of well-known characters. You could have Jonathan Archer or Admiral Forrest. You could bridge the gap between Enterprise and Strange New World. There is a lot of possibilities on things they could do. So where does that leave the Kelvin crew? Well, as mentioned earlier, there is a separate initiative to produce this Star Trek 4, this elusive movie that has been, I think, in the works for like 10 years with Chris Pine's Kelvin timeline crew. Collider notes that Paramount commissioned a new script from Steve Yockey and that actors like Zoe have expressed willingness to return. However, scheduling and budget issues have stalled the progress. Insiders say the project remains in development, but is not currently green-lit. Now, this separation is important. The new origin film isn't replacing the Kelvin series. It exists alongside it. For fans of the Kelvin crew, which I personally am, this means there's still a chance to see another movie with Kirk, Spock, and Bones, and hopefully the right send-off, the final send-off to that crew, because that crew is awesome. It really is. And for those wanting something fresh, me too, I want anything Trek on the big screen personally. The origin story would provide a brand new on-ramp into the Trek universe. Now, we don't have many details, but we always have speculation, and here's some of the most talked about rumors. I mean, the origin film could secretly serve as the origin for Section 31. You guys let me know what you think about that. Every time I mention Section 31 in the comments, you guys get a little hostile. Or we could go Earth-Romulan War. I really, really like this one. The Earth-Romulan War was 2156 to 2160, and it's been referenced in canon but never depicted on the screen. Fans speculate the movie can finally showcase this conflict and how it led to the creation of the neutral zone, which we've heard 1,000 times. This aligns with the Collider's note that the nascent Federation faces a devastating war against Romulans. Here's another one. We could do the origin of the Enterprise and Captain April. That's a theory that the film could chronicle Captain Robert April's command of the first Enterprise and end with Christopher Pike taking the helm. Now, this would bridge directly into Strange New Worlds. It would allow the movie to feel like a grand pilot episode for future films and series. There's a couple more linked to the Strange New Worlds. Because the new Paramount series is popular, some fans expect cameos or tie-ins. It's possible, it's not confirmed, that the younger versions of Pike or Spock could actually appear. That would connect streaming and theatrical audiences together. And then, of course, the third reboot approach. The biggest rumor is that this origin film could be the springboard for a third cinematic continuity series, separate from both the Prime and the Kelvin timelines. If the story introduces new characters and setting but resonates with fans, Paramount might use it to start a brand new series of films. That would mirror how 2009's Star Trek Reboot created the Kelvin timeline. Now, it remains purely speculative, but the Hollywood studios often explore reboots to refresh franchises, and this one probably definitely needs that. So how would a third reboot actually work? You'd have to focus on new heroes. Instead of recasting Kirk and Spock, they could introduce an entirely new Starfleet of characters living in the era between Enterprise and TOS. This would avoid the burden of comparison and give writers freedom to craft original arcs. But they're stuck to a degree, just like Star Wars is stuck in the Skywalker saga. You could blend Prime and Kelvin elements together. A third reboot could unify familiar timelines. For example, the visual aesthetics could resemble the Kelvin films, while the lore aligns with the Prime timeline, offering maybe a best of both worlds feel. I mean, you could do serial storytelling. Modern audiences enjoy long-form storytelling. A series of films could follow a core crew across multiple adventures. That sounds new, huh? The origin movie could set up the stakes, maybe the Romulan War, Section 31, and subsequent films could explore the fallout. And then, of course, you got cross-media synergy. Paramount might plan synergy between movies and streaming series. Lo and behold, we get going again, right? You have a huge crossover down the road. Characters introduced in the original film could appear in future seasons of Strange New Worlds. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities out there. The success of the film will depend on the script and whether audiences embrace a pre-TOS era. But I think it's safe to say, just judging off of my channel and my videos I put up, that the appetite for fresh Star Trek stories is out there. And if they could give us a well-crafted reboot, it could reignite the big screen franchise with, if you're a true fan, that's all you want. You want the opportunity to go get your popcorn and your drink and your candy and enjoy it with friends or family and go watch Trek on the big screen. As always, none of the speculative details are confirmed until Paramount and the creative team share more. We sit here and guess. That's what we do with a lot of stuff. We speculate, we guess, and sometimes we get it right. So, do you want an origin story? Do you want to be the set of a new trilogy? Do you want Star Trek 4 with the Kelvin crew? Do you want both? Or would you prefer a clean slate reboot with brand new characters? Sound off and let me know in the comments.